as the subject in fact is not as simple as the title may indicate. It is interlinked with history of time immemorial. History was never my favorite subject in school. My distaste for the subject was like taking castor oil, which grannies in olden days administered to relieve children of their constipation. In light of this, I am afraid I may not be able to respond to questions in the end. The talk this evening is on me and my turban. I have to confess that the title is unfortunately misleading. More appropriately, it should have been Sikh Turbans or Turban Sikhs. The word turban is found in this form in several European languages with slight modification of spelling, such as the Dutch call it tulpan, Romanians call it tulipan, and Italian, Spanish and Portuguese call it turban. All these words are traced to the Persian word sarban. In Punjab, in India, the word commonly used is pagdi or dastar. To begin with, there are 8 references to illuminate its dignity as extracted from various books of the Old Testament, namely Exodus and Ezekiel. Our president holds custody of small gift to be handed to any Rotarian who guesses correctly if my turban fits any or none of these quotes. I have requested past President Rotarian Gordon Brown to kindly read out quotes on my behalf, because his experience as a former principal of Bilbro College and his present involvement with the church.
First, the book of Ezekiel. Once they enter the gates of the court, they are to wear linen vestments. They shall wear linen turban and linen drawers on their loins. 2. From the book of Exodus. They made the tunic of fine linens, woven work for Aaron and his sons, the turban of linen, the tall headdress and their bands, all of fine linen, the drawers of finely woven linen, the sash of woven linen, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Again in the same book, the turban and drawer as the priestly vestment. These are the vestments they must make: breastplate, ephod, robe, embroidered tunic, turban and girdle. 4. The turban as a symbol of dedication, consecration and essential for anointment. They made a rosette of pure gold as the symbol of their holy dedication, and inscribed on it as the engraving on a seal, "Holy to the Lord," and they fastened it on a violet band to fix it on the turban at the top as the Lord had commanded Moses. So says the book of Exodus. 5. The kingly turban. The turban was a symbol of royalty and used in place of a crown. The prophet Isaiah says, "For Jerusalem's sake I will speak out, until her light shines forth like the sunrise, her deliverance like a blazing torch, until the nations see the triumph of your right, and all kings see the glory. Then you shall be called by a new name, which the Lord will pronounce with his own lips. You shall be a glorious crown in the Lord's hand, a kingly turban in the hand of your God." 6. The turban as a symbol of stoic courage in the face of grief. You are not to lament, not to weep, not to let your tears run down. Groan in silence. Do not go into mourning for the dead. Knot your turban round your head, put your sandals on your feet, and do not cover your beard. So says Ezekiel. 7. The turban as a symbol of dignity and self-respect. When God takes away the turban, says Prophet Isaiah, he takes away the dignity of man. That day the Lord will take away the ankle ornaments, tiaras, pendants and bracelets and veils, the expensive dresses, mantles, cloaks and purses, the mirror, linen garments, turban and mantles. During biblical times, as it is among Indians who wear, it was symbol of dignity, self-respect and authority. A blemish on the turban meant a blot on one's character. An insult to the turban meant unbearable insult to one's personality. And 8. Lastly, the turban as a symbol of purity. Joshua was dressed in dirty clothes as he stood before the angel of God. The angel said these words to those who stood before him. Take off his dirty clothes, clothe him in splendid robes of state, and put a clean turban on his head. They clothed him in splendid robes of state and put a clean turban on his head. The angel said, I have taken away your iniquity from you. So says Zechariah. Thus, in the book of Leviticus, it records, a clean body, a clean white turban were prerequisites for spiritual development of a clean mind and a pure soul.
Thank you, Gordon. Let us at this juncture endeavour to understand the brief background of Sikhism and meaning of the terms used repeatedly in the following context. Khalsa means pure, Sikh means disciple, Sikhism means a path of discipline and discipleship, Singh means a lion, Guru means descent of divine guidance to mankind provided through enlightened master. 10 Gurus from 1469 to 1708 AD, Guru Nanak to Guru Gobind Singh, have blessed the Sikhs. Sikhism came into existence 600 years ago. This coincided with the time of the first Mughal invasion of India. It is one of the youngest monotheistic religion founded by Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak was a God-gifted philosopher, teacher and spiritual being. The basic tenets of his philosophy are that there is one God who is omnipotent, omniscient and omnipresent. He is never born and never dies. Guru Nanak taught people to work hard, remember God, share the fruit of one's honest labour. His adherents were predominantly of Hindu race that believed in idol worship of many gods. Enlightened Muslims followed his teachings no less. Over the years and almost 200 years after Nanak, seeing that there was no abatement of the rueful rulers and their atrocities, the 10th Guru, Guru Gobind Singh, formed the Khalsa by baptizing his followers. The teachings evolved into the inclusion of a martial element. The Sikhs became an army of saint soldiers as ascribed to them by their 10th Guru. The inscription included a uniform to imbibe the strength to challenge the Mughal atrocities in India. The beginning of the process involved the baptism of the first 5 brave volunteers who responded to the Guru's call for sacrifice from amongst a huge gathering of his followers on 5th April 1699. They were henceforth called the 5 beloved ones. The 5 baptized ones came from 4 corners of India and belonged to various castes, and baptism made them members of the integrated brotherhood in which caste and class differences were abolished. Guru Gobind Singh still went further and asked the 5 to baptize him in a similar way as he had done, thereby removing distinction between Guru and disciple. Every Sikh is expected to practice self-discipline and strict code of conduct. including wearing of the 5 symbols of faith. Very briefly, these symbols of faith are follows. A steel bracelet worn on the wrist, denoting an unbreakable link to God. A sword, the symbol of courage and readiness to defend the faith and the weak. Unshorn hair, a sign of saintliness, strength and morality. A comb to keep the hair clean and tidy. A pair of short breeches, the symbol of agility, alertness, and a reminder of the need of moral restraint. The uniform not only identified them, but also indicated the willingness to fight tyranny in those days of oppression, which indicated forcible conversion to Islam. The turban became an essential part of the uniform and headgear to cover the unshorn and knotted hair on the head. Present generation of Sikhs live in the glories of their forefathers. Incidentally, my great-grandfather was in the cavalry of Maharaja Ranjit Singh in 1820. The tradition of serving army has continued to this day. Several of my relations have seen active service in the forces. My cousin brother, who retired not long ago as a brigadier in the Indian Army, possesses the 2 swords that were used by my great-great-grandfather. After the annexation of Punjab by the British, they were fully aware of the Sikhs' ferocious and tenacious fighting zeal. They molded them into superb army regiments. Sikhs became the backbone of the British Indian Army. In India, the British, knowing their martial qualities which they themselves had experienced during the annexation of Punjab, ensured that the Sikhs had their own separate regiments and encouraged them to retain their identity. In a secret dispatch in 1851, the Governor-General of India issued an order that all Sikhs entering the British Army should receive their baptism and strictly observe the code of Sikh conduct. Lieutenant General Sir McMahon had this to say: "The value of the Sikh as a simple, faithful soldier has lain in his adherence to the simple tenets and hardy life of his forebears. No non-baptized Sikh is admitted into regiment of the British Indian Army." Following instant on the parade ground, where the long beards interfered with the use of Sikh soldiers' own and sometimes his neighbours' beards and his guns, the British officers suggested that Sikhs tie their beards under their chins. This later entered the formal dress code for the Sikh in the army. People of various denominations on various occasions have described turban Sikhs in glowing terms.